Let's get down to business. Thanks for coming out tonight.
I wrote me a manual, a step-by-step booklet for you to get.
Oh, I make money moves.
You can't see me, my time is now.
What up, guys? Welcome back to the Fitness Times Business Podcast, the show created to provide you with the practical and strategic advice to help you level up in fitness, business, your career, your relationships, and your life. My name is Joseph Mansell. I am your host. Joining me in this episode of the Your For segment, Brandon is back.
How's it going?
I'm good, man. How are you?
Always good.
Always good. Always good to be doing these episodes with you, man. We were just talking off camera. We have 4 really, really well thought out questions. Questions that when I was preparing for this episode, I was like, oh, shit, I got to dig deep for these. I got to go real deep. So I know that then when that happens, you guys are going to get a whole lot of value out of the episode. So we have 4 questions, Brandon. Before we get into them, it is MJ Challenge season.
It's time, man. It's come around quick already.
It always does, man. Season 10. Fuck. Always that number. I can't believe I set it for season 9. I set it for season. This is number 10.
Double digits.
Number 10, and we've moved to the new MJ Fitness Challenge app.
Yeah, so exciting.
For the first time, and we thought, we're in double digits. We got to celebrate, and we're celebrating with an all new fucking app. It's going to be amazing. For those of you who are hearing about the MJ Fitness Challenge for the first time, firstly, what is it? It's a 10-week physical and psychological transformation challenge. It's for both men and women of all ages, of all levels of fitness experience, and it's open to anyone, anybody, anywhere in the world. It's not. Some people think it's just you got to be in Australia. No. We have challenges from North America, South America, Asia, Europe, of course, Australia, New Zealand, all over the place. So open to everybody worldwide. As part of the MJ Fitness Challenge, you get a diet plan, you get a customized meal plan and macros, you get full workout programs, cardio programs, a supplement plan, and a motivational guide. All of these, well, specifically the meal plan and the macros and the workout programs get updated at the week 5 marks. They get updated. So you get 2 of them. You get 2 full sets at the halfway point of the program, I should say. You also get access to the MJ Fitness Challenge Facebook community and fortnightly webinars featuring myself and Vince. We jump into that community every fortnight and give you guys some tips and tricks and some motivation. You also get over $100 worth of merchandise just for signing up. And of course, there's prizes up for grabs. There's actually 4 prizes up for grabs. There's a male fat loss champion, a male build muscle champion, a female fat loss champion, and a female build muscle champion. And that prize pool's worth over 10 grand. It's crazy. And the price, Brandon, is an early bird price.
There is right now.
Well, there's only 4 days left. So early bird registration ends on July 9, Sunday, July 9, and that registration is just $149.95. You get all of that for less than $150.
It's crazy.
It's less than $15 per week. It's about $2 a day. The way we market it is we say it's less than a coffee day. It's a shitload less than a coffee a day. Coffees these days are fucking $6-7. It's literally about $2 a day. For all of this, if you register before the 9th of July, guys, this, honestly, like all the advertising and shit aside, it's one of the coolest things that we do in the MJ Fitness business. We have transformed, we're in season 10 now. We have transformed thousands of people's lives, both psychologically, physically, doing this challenge, and we take a lot of fucking pride in it, if I might say so myself. So if you guys are interested, no harm in just checking it out. mjfitnesschallenge.com.au. You can go and have a look at the past challenges, transformations. If you think that you can't make a lot of progress in 10 weeks, yeah, you can. Yeah, you can. And the proof is there. Go look at the past transformations. Go look at the testimonials. Take a look at what's involved. And I'm sure that if you guys invest a couple of minutes checking it out, you will be on board. And make sure you guys get on board before July 9 to get that early bird pricing. mjfitnesschallenge.com.au. Brandon,
Awesome.
we got 4 questions, man.
We do. You ready?
Let's get it.
Question 1. How do you handle employees that are talented but don't apply themselves fully?
I've seen this a lot over my career as a business owner and a manager of people, which is most of what I do these days is manage people. There's really kind of 3 scenarios that I have personally seen play out in this situation where you like someone has talent and you just know that they're capable of more than what they're giving. And you have to figure out how to get that out of them. There's 3 scenarios. Scenario number 1 is there might actually be a mismatch of skills. So although somebody's talented, they might not actually have the skills to perform in the role that they're currently in. And that's probably the easiest of the scenarios to fix because you can upskill them. Right? You can organize some training for them. You can manage them a little bit more closely. Ultimately, as their manager or as the business owner, depending on what position you're in, you have to upskill them, right? Because you know the talent's there. It's just they don't quite have the skill that, if they might be in a sales role and perhaps they're, incredibly talented at time management and productivity and they're a great people's person, but they just don't know how to close a deal, right? So we can upskill you on that. We can teach you how to close a deal, tips and tricks and very basic shit, but you've just never been taught it, right? So we can definitely, do that. Perhaps somebody's in a management position and they had the amazing skills to exceed in the sales role, but now that they've been promoted into a manager's position and they're managing other salespeople, they might just not have the management skills, the people management skills to excel in that position. So we can upskill you. We can teach you how to manage people, right? So that's scenario number 1. The second scenario is it might be a mismatch of a particular position, right? So the person might be really talented and they might have the skills to excel in the position, but they're just not really interested in the position, right? So they might be an incredible salesperson, but they just don't want to be in sales for whatever reason. Whatever that motivation is, it's just not the right position for them. In that case, if you have the opportunity, move them into a position that aligns with their talent, that aligns with their motivations, that aligns with their skill set. I always, when I think about the different, I'm going to say players, I've jumped the gun a little bit. When I think about the different members of our team, I often think about it like a basketball team. Like I'm assembling a pro basketball team, a championship basketball team. All right, who's gonna be the point guard? Who's gonna be the power forward? Who are the role players gonna be? Who's gonna be the franchise player, the star player? I'm trying to figure out who I need to put in the specific positions to get the team to gel the way they need to gel and get everybody aligned in the positions that their talents are best aligned to get the most out of the team as a whole. So that's scenario number 2, a misalignment of position. The third scenario, and this is probably the most difficult, at least for me, it's been the most difficult, is a misalignment in motivation, right? Where somebody has the talent, they have the skills, they're in the right position, but the motivation to unlock their potential just isn't there, right? And I'll give a couple of different examples that I've experienced. I've had people in the past in the MJ Fitness business that have been incredibly talented when it comes to people skills. I've put them in sales roles where they didn't really have the sales skills to close the deal. Great relationships, right? But couldn't close deals. I upskilled them, got them the skills they needed to close the deal, found them in the exact right position. So they were dealing with the right part of sales of the business. So perhaps it was retail. I don't want to give away who this was. Perhaps it was retail. Perhaps it was wholesale. Perhaps it was distribution. All right, let's find the right position for you. You're there. I then thought that their motivation was money. So I put together this bonus structure for them, right? And in a sales position, quite easy to do because it's tied to the output that you're producing in a sales position. And I was like, why the fuck am I not getting out of this guy or this girl what I know they're capable of. And the problem was they weren't motivated by money. They didn't give a fuck. The bonus structure was not doing anything to motivate them, to get them to unlock their full potential. And that was really difficult for me because then I had to figure out, well, firstly, I had to take the blow to my ego that I had misidentified their motivation. And then secondly, I had to figure out what motivated them, right? So what is it? If it's not money, like what is it? Is it more time with your family, right? Do you want more flexible working hours, or, do you not want to be on the road as much? Do you want to be back at home? Yeah, like what is the motivation there? Is it reaching more people and you don't really give a fuck about the money? Like, what is it? That's the third and probably the most difficult, because you really have to get to know somebody on a deep level to understand what their motivation is. But if you can unlock that, right, and you have upskilled them, or they've got the skills, they've got the talent, they're in the right position, and they've got the right motivation, you're fucking superstar. So that's my experience with it.
Did you find that out when they were still here?
Yes.
Yeah. So what did you do after that? Did you change roles, or you obviously became more clear on their why?
Yeah. No, I was able to get. Look, honestly, I didn't do a good enough job of it because they're no longer in the business, and I think that probably speaks volumes for it. There's been a couple of people actually that immediately come to mind where I'm like, I could have done a better job there, which is why I'm pretty. I wouldn't say pretty good. I'm much better at it now when I see a misalignment in motivation and I know that the person's talented and I know they've got the right skills and I know they're in the right position. My alarm bells go off and I go, hold on a second, there's a misalignment of motivation here. Let me figure out what the actual motivation is and let me play into that. And I've fucked up on a number of occasions, man, and I've lost some really good people. The ones that got away is what I refer to them as.
They're all lessons, man.
Yeah, man. They really are.
Yeah. Have you ever had to like let anyone go because of it? So like,
yes. Yeah. And that's the other, like, that's the truth of the situation. It's the truth of the matter as well, is like along all of these steps, right? Like if you can't offer the upskilling and there's just nowhere to go there, well then, you need to let them go. Or they need to remove themselves, right, to go somewhere where they can get the upskilling. If you can't offer them the right position and there's nowhere for them to move in the business, well, you're both wasting each other's time, right? Because you're going to unlock different levels of performance and productivity and happiness and fulfillment working somewhere else that can offer you that position, right? And you're not going to do the job that I require you to do to make the most of this position. So I need to bring someone else in. So we both need to come to an agreement to move on, because we're both just fucking spinning wheels here. And then from a motivation perspective, I mean, that ultimately, and I know there's a question coming up here at the end of the episode around alignment with core values, right? Which ultimately is what motivates most people, is for living into their core values. If there is no capacity to do that within the business, then you're never going to get the most out of that person, and they're never going to feel happy and fulfilled, because the motivation misalignment is always going to be there. And it's one of those situations where it's like, fuck, man, like it is what it is. I wish I could do more. You wish that your motivations were different, but this is where we're at. And we just need to have an objective conversation about it and understand that this is trying to put a square peg in a round hole.
Yeah. No, good insight. Yeah. I don't have a lot to add about that, to be honest. I did have the pretty much what you had. Like, is it disinterest? Are they burnt out? Are they lacking guidance or resources, or are they in the wrong role? But you've pretty much covered.
I think one thing I will add, just as I'm thinking through this and the different scenarios that I've experienced in my business journey thus far, is it also needs to be said that in the short term, there can be things going on in someone's life that, as a manager or a business owner, it probably is going to pay for you to be empathetic towards. And there's a balance here, right? And this kind of ties into servant leadership. But if somebody's going through some heavy shit, in their personal life, right? Maybe they're going through, maybe they got a sick child, or maybe they're going through a relationship breakdown, or maybe their parents are not in good health, or there's something going on in their personal life, and you can see that is affecting their ability to really lean into their potential. And you can see that they have talent that they're not fulfilling, but you understand that this is happening on the side. Sometimes, especially in the short term, it's going to pay to be empathetic to that and just go, look, I know that, man, I've dealt with this so many times with employees. I know you're going through this, right? I get it. I'm going to support you as much as you need. Go and do what you need to do in your personal life. At the same time, and this is why it's such a fine line, there needs to be a limit to that as well, right? Because that can't go on for a sufficiently long period of time where it's like, fuck, man, like it's been, depending on the scenario, it's been 3 months, it's been 6 months, it's been a year, and I've made this mistake before. It was a number of years where I was like, look, I've been as empathetic as I can be. This is going on a lot. I've given you the support. You haven't dealt with your shit. And you're still not living up to your potential. You're still leaving talent on the table. And now we have to do something about it.
Yeah, it's an awareness thing as well, like with you, but communication is huge as well because you might not even know. Like obviously you can tell if someone's acting differently and stuff and you're usually there for them and provide that support and ask them if everything's all good. But if you don't know, man, they're obviously just their performance is dropping and you don't know external things are going on, then it'd be pretty hard. So if you're an employee then and you are going through that at the moment, make sure you communicate with your bosses and things like that.
Yeah, and look, I think that's a really important point, Brandon, because as a leader, one of the things that I always try and be cognizant of is like significant changes in people's behavior, and if you're present enough, you can see it, right? You can see it. And when you see it, as a servant leader, I believe it's your responsibility to open up that line of communication and say, look, Brandon, man, I've noticed that you've kind of been acting a bit different. I noticed your performance has dropped off. We go through KPIs every month and I'm seeing, like, I know that you're not giving everything you can give. What's going on? Is it something in the workplace? Is it something in your personal life? Let's just have an open, honest conversation about it and let me help you through it. At the same time, as an employee, if you don't have a manager that practices that sort of empathy, or even if you do, it's really important that as an employee, you have the courage to have that conversation as soon as you can as well. And just communicate, like you said, bring awareness to the table and say, look, I'm going through this. This is really difficult for me. It's not going to be a long-term thing, but I just need to deal with this now. And I'm trying my best not to bring it to the workplace, but it's really hard for me. Have that vulnerable conversation because more often than not, people are going to be super empathetic towards it. You don't know what people have been through, man. You just don't. And so many times we assume that people aren't going to be empathetic and people don't understand. A lot of the times people have been through something similar and they can reflect on that themselves and they can go, fuck, I remember when I was in that position, I wish that my boss was empathetic towards me. So this is my chance to turn the tables and give that respect to my employer, my staff member.
100%. Next question.
Let's do it.
Do you think you're leaving anything in the tank by training in the morning instead of evenings?
You guys were talking about this in the office.
We were, yeah, just then.
Earlier today. I'll let you lead off on this, actually.
Yeah.
Because I got stories, but...
Yeah, so do I. Like, my stance has definitely changed over the last few years.
It does, hey?
It does, yeah. Because, like, I think it depends on the kind of training you're doing. If you're doing, like, I still train, if I'm training early in the mornings and I'm doing cardio, I won't eat, depending on what cardio. If it's anything like long runs and endurance based, then I'll get something small in, like a fast acting carb. But I don't know, man, I eat in the mornings now. Like I train in the mornings, weight training, and I get up early and I eat. And in the beginning, it was hard you're not used to eating that early in the morning, and it was like you need to sort of work out how long before training works best for you. Some people can eat and train straight away. Some people need to wait an hour plus. So you need to work out that, and then I much prefer eating before I train in the mornings now. And then that's sort of gone away from the question, hasn't it?
Well, but I'm happy you've gone there, because there's always, man, whenever I post on anywhere about like my morning training in the mornings and how I do that, like everyone, the topic is always, do you train faster? Do you eat before you train? It's always the thing, right?
And I used to train fasted, man.
Yeah.
And I used to be a barista, and I'd finish at like either 12 or 2, and I would just drink black coffee. I was a big believer in intermittent fasting. I still do believe in it to an extent. I think it can be a good tool, but I'd just drink black coffee, and then I'd finish at 12 or 2, go straight to the gym, train fasted, and then not eat until I'd get home. And it worked for me, man. But yeah, in the mornings now, like obviously now my job is a 9 to 5. I get home at like 6:30. And I'm spent, man. My brain, like your brain uses so much energy.
Yeah.
By the time I'm home, there's no way I want to train. And once you get used to that, getting up early, man, and going to the gym and just feeling good, getting that frog eaten early on in the day, you just feel good for the rest of the day. So I probably would never go back, I reckon. Even like on the weekends and stuff, man, I'm in there early. Not that early, but early-ish, yeah.
My journey is very similar. So I used to be an evening trainer for over a decade, right? Back when I was at university, I kind of used to train in between lectures during the day. When I finished university and I committed to Massive Joe's at the time, now MJ Fitness, full time, I would have been, how old was I? Mid-20, late-20? No, mid-20. So over 10 years. And my routine was I'd do fasted cardio in the morning, every morning, or almost every morning. I do a full day of work, and then I train at nighttime. And that worked for me until it stopped working. And let me tell you how it stopped working. And this is when I knew I needed to make a change. What I would do was work at MJ HQ. And it was really this building, actually. And as I'm taking on more and more responsibility, and as the business is growing and growing, and there's just more shit happening, I work later and later. And, an extra 10 minutes turns into an extra 20, an extra half hour, an extra hour. So I used to work like 9 to 5, 9 to 5:30, so on and so forth. And then I would be working here until 6:30, and then 7, and then 7:30, and then 8, and then 8:30. Right. And I wouldn't fucking leave the office. It got to the point where I would have my pre-workout meal here at like 8, and I wouldn't be at the gym until 9. Right. And I used to post about it. Those of you who have been following me for years would know my saying was I do my best work at 10 p.m. And that was not in the bedroom. That was in the gym, right? I still do my best work after 10 p.m. But that was in the gym.
You're asleep before then, man.
Yeah, I am now, and more on that in a second. But that was like because I used to train fucking after 10 o'clock at night, and that's all good. But because I was tired, because I'd spent fucking 12 hours in the office, what did I do? Well, I had a high stim pre-workout, right? To make sure that I'm making the most of that workout. Then I finished training at 11. Then I have my post-workout meal, and then I can't fucking sleep because I had a high stim pre-workout at fucking 9 o'clock at night, and then a big post-workout meal. And so I wouldn't sleep until 1:30, 2 a.m. And then I'm up at 6:37 to do my fasted cardio. And guess what? I wake up and I'm tired. So what do? Some fat burners, some stimulants. And it got to the point where it was this vicious cycle of consistently feeling tired, consistently relying on caffeine and stimulants and shit to give me energy to get through my work day, get through my workouts, get through my cardio the next morning. And I was like, this is not going to end well. Like, I need to break this cycle. And I knew that before I met my wife, Amy. And Amy came into my life absolute angel for a number of different reasons. This is one of them. And Amy was, at that point, she'd been training early mornings for quite some time. And she said, look, let me introduce you to early morning training. I was like, fuck that. I don't know. I'm not, I don't lift heavy things in the morning. I do my best work after 10 p.m. This is not going to happen. But she was like, just try it. Just commit to it for like a month and see what happens. And let me tell you, man, that first month was fucking torture. Like, I still remember the workouts. We were living at Glengarry at the time, and I used to train at Anytime Fitness Glenelg. And, 5:30, 6 in the morning. And I remember those workouts, and I was like, I can't fucking do this. Like, I felt shit. My heart was beating out of my chest. My performance was horrible. And I was just like, nah, this is not for me. But I made a commitment to her. I said, I'll try it for a month. Every week it started to get better and better and better. And then I needed to figure out, okay, do I train fasted? Do I train with food? How, like all the stuff that you said, how early before my workout do I need to get my meal in? What about fluid? What about water? How does all this play in? And so over the next few months, I started experimenting with energy input, so food and water, timing, how much, so on and so forth. And then I got better at the energy output, right? Like there's a big difference, especially when you first go from getting your heart rate up to 80% of its max at 10 o'clock at night, and then saying to your body, no, we're going to do that at fucking 5 o'clock in the morning, right? And it throws your circadian rhythm out of whack. Like you won't believe it. Your body just won't do it. But you need to push through that. So I started experimenting with that. And let me tell you where I'm at now. And I've been training early mornings. Amy and I have been together just over 4 years. So it's been 4 years, about 4 years since I've been doing this. And so this is what my early morning pre-training regime looks like. My alarm goes off at 4 at the moment. Pre-contest, it was a bit earlier.
It's a sleep in for you now.
3:30. It is a sleep in, yeah. So 4 a.m. my alarm goes off. I do some breath work and some vacuums, and I have half a liter of water while I'm preparing my pre-workout meal. My pre-workout meal is a scoop of whey protein, blended whey protein, sometimes isolate, with some coconut milk made into like a little paste, like a sludge. I do 30 grams of cereal, 75 grams of blueberries, and then I do some ciabatta, which is some Italian bread, right? So wheat is a source of carbohydrates, about 100 grams of ciabatta. That's my pre-workout meal. So I prepare that, half a liter of water after I've done my vacuums. 4:15, I have my pre-workout meal. I also have coffee as well, have a coffee. Pre-workout meal and a coffee, and I go into my morning routine, which is journaling, writing, reading. Do that for 30 minutes. 4:45, so 30 minutes later, prepare my pre-workout subs with another half liter of water. So before I even step in the gym, and this has been huge for me, I've drunk a liter of water, right? A lot of people that train in the morning train dehydrated. They don't even fucking realize. They're like, I can't get a pump. And I eat more carbs and I can't get a pump. And, I've tried honey and rice cakes and all the fast-acting carbs and DextroPure and all this. I can't get a pump. We can't get a pump because there's no water. Your body can't create glycogen without water, right? So there's a liter of water gone in. There's about almost 100 grams of carbs, 30 grams of protein, and a tiny little bit of residual fat in there. I then drive to the gym. 5:15, I warm up. This is another big thing, right? People think they're going to go straight into morning workouts without warming up. I spend 10 minutes on the Stairmaster for every workout, get my heart rate up, and then I go and I warm up my shoulders and back, and depending on what I'm training, my legs, whatever. I start training at 5:30. So in terms of timing, so I've already been up for 90 minutes. My pre-workout meal has gone in an hour and 15 minutes before, and I've drunk a liter of water. And for me, it's perfect. I've been experimenting. This is where I'm at 4 years later, right? So I've experimented with a lot of different shit. For me, that works perfectly. So back to the question, do I think I'm leaving anything in the tank by training in the morning instead of evenings? I'm exactly the same as you. I wouldn't go back. I don't go back. I could train any fucking time of day I want. I don't. Even on weekends, train early in the morning. And I've found that, man, like the proof is in the pudding. My physique over the last 4 years has gone from amateur to top pro. So I don't know what other evidence you want other than that there's nothing being left in the tank. Once you get the recipe to the energy input and the energy output right.
Yeah, it really is trial and error. It's funny that you say that you used to have the high stim pre's at 9 at night, because now you're training drinking your pre-workout at 5 in the morning. It's stim free.
Most of the time, yeah.
You got that natural
last
energy,
bit of prep, I use high stim pre's, but for the most time, like I have a coffee, right? So there's natural caffeine in there. But then, like I don't even want to think about what my total caffeine intake was towards the end of that period while I was training, doing my best work at 10 p.m. It would have been pushing
a gram plus.
Oh, easy. I'm thinking like 1.5.
Yeah, fuck.
Yeah, it was not good, man.
Good that you're still here with us.
It was, but like then you talk about back to the question, like leaving anything in the tank. Having that much caffeine in a 24-hour period is horrible for recovery. Like if I had a fucking Oura ring back then and I was tracking my readiness, it would have been off the charts.
Well, I mean, your caffeine's got a half-life of 6 hours, man. You're having it at 9 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
You're actually lucky to go to sleep.
Hours, quarter life of 12 hours. Like,
I don't know how you weren't doing all-nighters, man.
My blood caffeine concentration would have just been consistently.
Constant, yeah. Maybe that's how you fell asleep, like at 1:30. But it's all right, this is normal. This is blood now. This is normal.
But fuck, man. Yeah. And I think, like you can read into all of the different studies and data and speak to people and this and that. And, different people are going to say, training first thing in the morning is the best because your growth hormone's the highest and your testosterone's the highest and your insulin sensitivity is the highest. And then some other people will be like, but training at night, you've had a full day worth of meals and your stomach's full and you've got glycogen floating around and blood sugar levels are bad and all that. Like everyone's going to have their different opinions. Ultimately, it comes back to what fits your lifestyle. Always.
Well, I love hearing about morning routines, man. I wish I wrote mine down. It's similar. I like how you get up, you drink water straight away. I add a bit of like pink salt, Celtic sea salt to my water because I know I'm dehydrated all the time when I wake up. So I make sure I get that in before I have any caffeine or coffee at all. And then I like how you eat straight away. I eat straight away as well because then when you're doing your morning routine, you're giving you that time to digest it a bit. So I do that same, man. I have like a quick, fast digesting carb source at the moment. It's Nutri-Grain cereal. It's not a whole lot because I am trying to cut. And then I'll just add, I used to do like the sludge, but now I just add it in like a bit of milk and like a scoop of protein in there and just have it as like flavored milk. I'm pretty much just having that. Like sometimes I'll have like, when I'm not cutting, I'll have like raisin toast or something alongside of it. Just fast digesting carbs, man, to give you that energy. And then I'll drink my pre-workout on the way to the gym because I've got a little bit of a drive. But did I say pre-workout or pre-workout meal?
Pre-workout.
Drink my pre-workout. And then when I get here, I'll have my post-workout meal. And man, definitely try it. Like that breakfast tastes a lot better as a post-workout meal too, to be honest. But
doesn't it?
Give it a try. And like Joe said, like give it a try for at least a month because it is tough in the beginning. Waking up that early is tough. Feeling like you need have the energy. I think the big one here as well is actually warm up too, because once your heart's pumping, that blood's pumping, man, it's a lot easier rather than just getting there and getting straight into your workout. You'll feel like shit. So give it a go.
Yeah, ultimately that's it. Like give it a try. But the point you make that's really important is commit to it. Don't give it a try for a week and go, this is not for me.
Shit, yeah.
Like you're literally flipping your daily routine upside fucking down.
Yeah, got to adjust.
You flip any area of your life upside down, there's going to be some resistance. You know what I'm saying? So you have to go, I'm going to commit to this for 4 weeks or 6 weeks or 8 weeks or whatever it is and push through. Like change is hard at first, messy in the middle, gorgeous at the end. How many times have we said that on the show? It applies to this as well. Yeah, it's hard at first. It's going to be. So you have to commit to it.
100%.
Next question.
Question 3. How to distinguish between feeling lazy and unmotivated but needing to push through versus feeling burnt out and needing to pull back?
What a great fucking question. Like this is the question. At the start of the show, I said these questions made me think. This was the question where I was like, this is a great fucking question.
I had the questions all done, and this one came through yesterday, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I was like, okay, I've got to slide that one in there.
Yeah. I think it comes down to two main things. I've distilled it down to two main things. The first one is looking for and being conscious of objective physical and psychological indicators that you're burnt out and you need to pull back. And this is difficult because naturally you're going to be subjective around like physically, oh, I'm sore, I'm feeling tired. Or psychologically, I'm just psychologically exhausted. Or, I'm feeling down in the dumps. It's subjective, right? But you really have to be able to step back from that and look at these indicators objectively and understand the difference between feeling physically sore, which is just a byproduct of pushing your body physically past what it wants to do, which is part of the pursuit of your health and fitness goals, right? You can't achieve a health and fitness goal without going through some sort of pain. So the difference between that and pushing yourself so hard that there's a measurable drop in your performance, right? Or, the obvious one physically is you get sick, right? Like you run down and your body's like, no, hold on. You're at the point now where we need to fucking pull back here. Psychologically, it's the difference between feeling psychologically tired and feeling absolutely drained and exhausted. It's the difference between feeling unmotivated and feeling defeated. It's the difference between feeling challenged and feeling helpless. Slight differences, nuanced differences. And I really think, it's funny how many of the concepts that we discuss in these episodes all tie back to a lot of these different scenarios. This is an exercise in mindfulness. Ultimately, this is why we preach meditation. This is why we preach breath work. This is why we preach all of these different skills that ultimately are designed to enhance your mindfulness so that you are able to step back from short-term physical indicators subjectively and look at them objectively. You're able to step back from transient emotions and psychological responses, and instead of becoming subjectively involved in them, you can create some distance and look at them objectively. Okay, I'm not actually physically exhausted. I'm just tired at the moment, right? I don't actually feel helpless and defeated. I'm just feeling a bit challenged and it's uncomfortable, but I can sit with that. That's why mindfulness is so important. So I think that's point one, right? Is develop the skills to be able to step back from the subjective physical and psychological indicators and look at them objectively. And I think that's going to give you a lot of clarity over whether it's like a short-term thing that you just need to harden the fuck up and push through and exert discipline and perseverance and grit, or if you're actually teetering right on the edge of burnout and you need to go, hold on a second, I need to step back here before I do some serious physical or psychological damage. I think the other thing to consider is once you've kind of got that objectivity, asking yourself if pulling back in the short term is then going to help propel you forward after that, or if pulling back in the short term is actually going to push you backwards. So is this the old saying, one step backwards to take two steps forwards? Or is this one step backwards that's then going to lead to the developing of habits and routines that when things get hard, you just take a step backwards and you take another step backwards and you take another step backwards. And before you know it, you're so far away from your goal that you don't even know what the fuck your life looks like. And it all started with that one decision. So I think that's something else to really keep in mind. Is this one step back to take two forward? Is this actually going to help me recharge physically, psychologically, so I'm able to regroup and propel like squishing a spring down. Squish it down, explodes up. Is it that scenario? Or is this just stepping backwards?
Yeah, those are huge. The awareness, obviously, from the mindfulness, and then your journaling will help with the reflection as well. Like self-reflecting is something that's very hard to start doing if you never reflect.
But you have to start though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, like you said, man, like you pretty much ticked everything off there. Like there's a few ways to identify it if it is like laziness, if it's your bitch voice or your boss voice is still there and you just burnt out.
Some Andy Frisella right there.
Bitch, I love the bitch voice, boss voice.
It's a little sexist, but we'll roll with it.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, if you're usually highly driven and motivated and then all of a sudden you've like lost interest or drive in what you're doing, then it's a sign that it could be burnout. But yeah, reflection's huge here. Like what's causing the burnout is the first step. Identifying that. Is it stress, work, training? Work out what it is before you can start working on like getting through it. And then like now, like what recharges you? Are you prioritizing those things? Are you neglecting them? The things that are like refresh and recharge you. Like if you're training too much, like consider a deload week. If you're working too much, can you increase productivity by like, can you increase productivity to decrease workload? Can you delegate certain tasks at all? Can you let your employer know that you might need some time away, or just let them know, communicate with them like we said previously? But yeah, really, you pretty much just covered it, man. It's just reflection and just being aware.
I think for the most part, and you know, I don't want to come across as, you know, there's this culture around, grinding as hard as you like, quote unquote grinding, you know, and burning the midnight oil and just being the hardest worker in the room and, you know, outworking everyone and you know, all those fucking cliche terms that you can come up with. I want to be very careful about heading in that direction. But for the most part, you are far more capable than you think you are, both physically and psychologically. So for the most part, when you get to the point physically where you're like, you know what, I'm feeling burnt out, right? I'm feeling exhausted. I've got nothing left to give. I need to take some time off. I need to skip that workout. I need a cheat meal. I need a cheat day. You know, I need a break. Most of the time, you just need to keep going. Most of the time, you just need to harden the fuck up and push through it. Very rarely will you get to the point where physically you're actually burnt out and you actually need to take time off. I can tell you from personal experience, physically, really the only time where I get there is probably the last month of a contest prep. Really? The last 2 weeks. Like that's it. Where I'm like, fuck, like this is the limit for me now. And I've been competing for almost 20 years. And for me, it's 2 weeks of the last bit of a contest prep. And I still push through it because I got that end goal that I'm trying to go through. But then after the show, I consciously take my foot off the accelerator and go, okay, like my body's going to have a fucking freak out if I don't deal with this situation. Psychologically, you're even more capable than you are physically. Psychologically, most of us, myself included, haven't even scratched the surface of what we are capable of psychologically. We just haven't. I got asked this question a while ago, and the question was, on a scale of 1 to 10, psychologically, how much more do you how much more do you think you have to give? So if you had to rate like your output, your productivity, your capabilities on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being I'm giving everything I can give, I got nothing, like I'm fucking maxed out, and 1 being I haven't even scratched the surface yet, where do you rank? And this was before I started doing a lot of the self-development work that I mean, you guys listen to the show for, right? And I remember answering the question, and I was like, and this is years ago now. I was like, I think I'm batting 8 to 9.
Even just me knowing you now, man, I know that'd be nowhere near.
I was like, yeah, I'm an 8 to 9. Now I'm like, man, I'm at like a 2. I'm at a 2 tops, maybe like 1.5. We haven't even scratched the surface, man. There's so much more there. So, to tie it back to this question, you most of the time you're not even fucking close, man. Like, I've seen people that have had mental breakdowns, right, and ended up in the psych wards of hospitals and those sorts of things. And obviously that is, that's, you pushed it too far at that point, right? Most of us are nowhere near there. Nowhere near it. Not even fucking close. You've got much more capability than you think you have.
It's the 40% rule. You heard of that? The David Goggins 40% rule? I think most people.
Oh, this is definitely some David Goggins shit, man.
Yeah. No, most people, when you feel like you're at the age, man, you're really at like 40% max.
Yeah.
It's not even halfway to where
you
you can
think,
really go.
And the best way to think about it, Brandon, is like, I think about the most difficult psychological challenges that I've confronted in my life that at the time felt like I was at a fucking 10, right? Where I was like, man, like, I can't, this is the limit for me. And I look back on them now, right? And I go, if that happened now, it'd be a fucking walk in the park. So what does that tell you about your psychological capability? It continues to expand. It continues to grow the more difficult shit you confront. Where's the limit to that expansion? I think David Goggins was wrong. I don't think it's 40%. I think it's more like 10.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you're just never going to know, because you the more psychological capacity you have to deal with difficult shit, the more difficult shit you deal with, which then enhances your psychological capacity. It's the success capacity concept that I've spoken about many times before. The only way to increase your success capacity is to go through difficult shit. And the more difficult shit you go through, the greater success capacity you're developing. So there's actually no limit.
Man, we're powerful beyond measure. It's insane. On the flip side, as someone as highly driven as yourself, what about the people that really are like burnt out, but they read like relaxing and stuff like that, taking the foot off the pedal stresses them out, and that's not how they recharge.
Give me an example.
Does that make sense? I mean, you can say to people, to conquer burnout, you can just take some time off work, just go relax, go on a holiday or something like that. Would that work for you?
Is that reaction answer your question?
Yeah. And obviously the people that aren't fully aware we've talked about it before, what like finding out what recharges you really it comes down to that. But
everyone's different, man.
Yeah.
Like for some people, like I laugh at that, because for me, like I've tried that and it doesn't work. Right. I just, I can't do that. It doesn't work for me. For me, it's the active recharge, right? It's spending time reading. It's spending time meditating. It's spending time doing things that I enjoy doing that's still doing something, right? I'm not the sort of guy that I'm like, fuck, I'm burnt out. I need to go sit on a fucking island and sip frozen mojitos and do sweet fuck all. That doesn't do anything for me. But for some people it might, right? There's no right or wrong here. That's why you need to find what recharges you. Like, what is the thing when you need to switch off that you can incorporate, and start incorporating that every day so that you never have to switch off. It just becomes part of what you do to stay on top of your game.
I'm just reflecting on my own. It's sort of like a selfish thing at the moment, but like my partner Sarah said to me like a few weeks ago, she's like, I hope you can fully relax when we go on holiday to Europe next month, because you always want to be doing shit and training and just like so like structured and scheduled. I'm sort of stressing about it a little bit myself. Like, I'm going to be on a Contiki, so I can't take my laptop to do like a bit of work on the side, or when I have some downtime, and it's just like I will be like training a little bit over there as well. So it's just like, yeah.
You figure it out.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, it's only 4 weeks.
Nah, it'd be a good.
It'd be an amazing time, man.
When was
No.
see this? I'm interested in this. When was the last time you went on a trip like this, or had like an extended period of time off like this?
Well, first of all, I've never been to like overseas or Europe, but yeah, a while, man. Because I've been like here and there, like Melbourne, Robe, and stuff like that. But I was still doing work when I was over there, so maybe I've just forgotten how like what it is to not really have anything to do. I think.
And you're a different person now, too.
Yeah, 100%.
That's kind of what I'm getting at, right? Is like these things ebb and flow depending on where you're at in life's journey. You're a different person now. So what might have been the off switch and the recharge and the relaxation for you 5 years ago doesn't look the same anymore because you've developed, right? You've changed as a person. So I'm excited for you, man.
It's because I can see, like, I know, like, I'm so far from my potential.
Yeah.
So I just want to keep working towards that. It's just like any time off, I just don't want to, you know. Yeah. But yeah.
We'll see.
Yeah.
Next episode of Your Fall, we'll get a debrief.
Yeah. Might be a different person. Who knows?
That's it. All right, last question.
Last question. How far do you want to take your business? I have a few friends who are adamant that they only want their business to go as far as a lifestyle business. I myself must admit I am not sure where it ends. I have to say I don't think it does end. It grows until I can't do anymore.
I love this question.
I know you would.
This is the old build a business for the 3 Bs scenario. You know, build a business so that you can have your boat, your beach house, and your BMW. And once you're there, like that's your lifestyle business, right? And there's nothing wrong with that. You know, don't get it twisted. Like different people have different motivations, and more on that in a second. How far do I want to take my business? So I have one of the journals that I keep is what I call my optimism journal or my affirmation journal. And I guess it's kind of like it's a journal that kind of works like a vision board without having anything visual. It's all written. And under the business part of that, the first thing that sits under that, and I can literally show you this on my phone, is I will build $1 billion business. So my B's look a little different. I'm going for the big B. That's where I'm at the moment. And I'm not saying that is where I'll end up. It could be bigger than that. But at the moment, like I know how to build a 9-figure business. At least I know what the path looks like. I got no fucking idea how to build a 10-figure business. So that's what I'm trying to do, right? Because I'm like, well, that's gonna be the test. So to answer the question in short terms, how far do I want to take my business? To the big B. That's where it is at the moment. Don't know how the fuck to get there, but figure it out along the way. To dig a bit deeper, and this was another question that made me really think a bit deeper, because then I go, why is that the first thing in my affirmation journal? Like, where does that come from? Because most people would firstly not even think that, and secondly, for a lot of people, it's intimidating. It's like, fuck, the fuck are you going to do that? It comes back to core values. Ultimately, comes back to core values. For me, my dominant core value is achievement. There's other ones in there, but, you know, I've done fucking survey after survey and all this because I'm interested, right? I'm interested to know where this comes from. And for me, it's achievement, right? And so that business goal is very much aligned with that core value. Let me see how much I can achieve. And that's why that kind of sits at the top for me. And that's why when I think about how far I want to take my business, a lot of it is achievement driven, right? And I just want to distinguish here, right? Because it's not, for me, it's not about achievement in terms of money. It's achievement in terms of reaching people and having an effect on people, right? And the revenue goal is a side effect of that. It's not the primary driver for me. So my achievement is like, I just want to have a positive impact on as many people as I possibly can, right? And I know that what comes along with that is a really fucking big business because that's the vessel upon which I can do that. Something I want to introduce the listeners and the viewers to is something called the Schwartz Values Wheel. I don't think we've spoken about this in depth in the pod before. So the Schwartz Values Wheel is a circle, looks a bit like a pie chart, and around the circle, it has different focuses of core values. And then as you go within the circle, it kind of breaks out into like slices of a pizza. And these are effectively the main core values. Just Google it. Schwartz, SCHWARTZ, values wheel. And you'll see the wheel that I'm talking about. And so the inner slices of this wheel, of this pizza, are the main core values. And it's really interesting to see what they are. I'll read it. I've got a printout in front of me, so I'll read a few of them out. So I've already mentioned achievement, hedonism, stimulation, action, thought, dependability, caring, tolerance, concern, nature, humility, interpersonal, rules, which is part of conformity, tradition, security. And there's a few others in there as well. Really interesting to look at this circle and go, what values am I most personally aligned with, right? What resonates with me the most? And this is really like a really simple way of understanding what the different core values are and understanding which ones are most important to you, which ones you resonate most with. Happiness and fulfillment ultimately is about alignment and living into your core values. So for me to be happy and fulfilled, I need to be achieving. I need to be living into achievement. That is what ultimately is going to make me the happiest and bring me the most fulfillment. That's why that business goal is the first and like the driver for me. That's why when I think about how far do I want to take my business, I'm going to the B's, because that's achievement, and progress towards that achievement is going to make me happy. It's going to bring me joy. And it's going to bring me fulfillment. That's not to say that that's everybody's core value, right? So the lifestyle business, building a B for the 3 Bs, the boat, the beach house, and the beamer, well, that's not necessarily achievement, right? If you come back to the Schwartz core values, that might be benevolence, right, for your family. It might be security. Having those things makes you feel secure, right? It could be any different combination of core values, right? Perhaps you're building a business for tradition, because tradition is really important to you, and your business looks completely different to what most people start in a business for, right? Ultimately, it comes down to core values. It's interesting because Tony Robbins recently has been doing a lot of content that I've never heard him do before. This is what I love about Tony, is he's got like his, take massive action and, like the stuff that Tony's known for. But every now and again, he'll kind of sprinkle some things in that you're like, I've never heard Tony speak about that before. The one for me at the moment is he started talking about the fact that he's identified that one of the fundamentals of happiness, right? So we say happiness and fulfillment is living into your core values. He said that one of the fundamentals of that happiness is actually progress, right? As humans, we have an inbuilt need for progress towards something, towards a goal, towards a value, towards something that's important to us. We need to be like, we can't stand still, right? And moving backwards is a problem for human beings. We need to be progressing towards something. So in the realm of core values and which ones you most align with, the question then becomes, what does progress look like to you? Right? To me, progress is how big of a business can I build to have a positive effect on as many people as I can. If I'm heading towards that, that's a fundamental of happiness, and it aligns with my overarching core value of achievement. So I'm going to be exactly where I need to be. If your overarching core value is security, right? Trying to reach as many people as you can and build the biggest business you can comes with a lot of risk. So is progressing towards that and confronting the risk that comes along with that going to align with a core value of security? Probably not. You're probably going to be fucking miserable and stressed out of your fucking brain most of the time. What about if your core value is, let's say, benevolence, right? And so dependability, caring, right? A lot of these things that tie into family is really important to you. Well, is building the biggest business that comes along with a lot of fucking work and a lot of time away from your family. It's just inherent in the process. Does that align with your overarching core value of benevolence? No, it doesn't. So if you're progressing down that path, you're actually progressing away from benevolence. You're progressing away from having more time to spend with your family. So you're going to be fucking miserable. So I think ultimately it comes down to identifying, having awareness of your core values, making sure that you're progressing towards living into them, and whatever that translates to in your business journey, that's where you need to be.
That's just very interesting stuff, man. Anyone that wants to do this, did you just how'd you learn about this?
The Schwartz Values Wheel was actually something that my mother-in-law introduced me to. So Amy's mum is, she does a lot of things, but she's a doctor in psychological research. So she knows this shit like really, really well. It was something she introduced me to, was the Schwartz Values Wheel. One of the, how's this for meeting a future mother-in-law? One of the first conversations that we had was around core values. I guess she was trying to see if like Amy and I were aligned or not. Right. Probably scoping me out. But yeah, she introduced me to it. And then I did the Myers-Briggs test and, different personality tests and stuff like that. To just kind of solidify that. But that was my first introduction to this. It's actually one of the things in the mentoring work that I do, is it's one of the questions in my mentoring induction questionnaire. That's actually what I've got a printout of here.
Yeah. I feel like I've seen that before. Maybe it's from you because I've heard of it. I've seen that sort of chart looking thing, but I've never really dove into it.
Yeah. So it's one of the things that I put in my mentoring induction questionnaire and get all of my mentees when they come on board is to look at the Schwartz Values Wheel and figure out what core values they resonate with. Because it tells you a lot about yourself. And most people have never done it, right? And you don't understand, if you don't have awareness of this sort of stuff, you don't really know where a lot of your motivations come from. Like, why am I motivated to build $1 billion business? The fuck does that come from? Like, that's, it's why am I motivated to have a family with 7 children? I'm not personally, but some people are. Right? Why am I motivated to join my local church and do a lot of work for the community? Why is that the most important thing to me? A lot of people kind of have these motivations that they haven't really dug into and they don't really understand where they come from. Well, ultimately, it all ties back to your core values. So,
yeah, guess what I'm doing tonight?
The Schwartz Values Wheel. All the listeners are, man.
It makes so much sense, man. It sort of ties together everything, like all my thoughts on this as well. Because I did have I understand where your friends are coming from. They obviously prioritize flexibility and work-life balance, which obviously have different core values. But I think this applies to all areas of life as well. Like, how far do you want to take your fitness goals? Like, how far do you want to take your financial goals? Do you want to hit a certain weight or do you want to look a certain way and then just stay there? Do you want to earn a certain amount of money and then just stop, or do you want to earn as much as you can? So for me, it's like, why would you not strive to be the best you possibly can be in any area of life? Do you just want to be comfortable? Well, fair enough. But like you said, like with the Tony Robbins and the progress thing, for me as well, it is like if you're not growing, you're dying essentially. And I think that's sort of what it is. But if you don't want your business to be the best it possibly can be in whatever industry you're in, man, I don't know. I personally think you're in it for the wrong reasons, but
everyone's in it for different reasons.
Yeah.
It's funny because Leah and I were having this conversation yesterday, and the context was she has just started to see, I think probably for the first time, she listens to these episodes. So Leah, I apologize if I've made the wrong assumption, but this is kind of what I read into it. She's seen for the first time a few of these businesses that have had these massive growth curves during the pandemic, effectively because of false economies, and now they've like dropped off. You know, like the flame that burns brightest burns quickest, and she started to see a lot of those. And she's like, you know, I'm trying to figure out, because she knows the people that own these businesses, like what their motivation is. You know, they started this business and they were selling this widget, and they were in the right place at the right time, and they made all this money, and now the widget's not selling, or someone else has come in and cut them out of the business, or, you know, the economy's not as strong as it used to be, and the widgets, people just don't value them, you know, for whatever fucking reason. And these businesses haven't collapsed yet, but the writing's on the wall. Like it's game over effectively. And she started talking about like, what is the motivator for these people that have started these businesses? You know, is it just money? Is it, you know, is it, what is the motivator? And we were talking about it, and I said to her, you know, like different people have different motivations. Like for some people, achievement manifests in, I just want to make as much money as I can. And foolishly, they think that is going to fulfill them, and that is them living into that achievement core value. It's not. And I can speak from personal experience that it's not. And I can speak from experience of seeing a number of people that have misconstrued that it's not, right? It's bigger than that, right? They just haven't done the work to figure out what it is. My point is, everybody's core values and living in alignment with those core values is different. And it's not to say that if your overarching core value is not achievement, that you shouldn't be in business, right? Because you can build a business to do a lot of things that has nothing to do with how big you can build that business. You can build a non-for-profit business, right? That is just about helping your local community. And once you're there, that's it. You're done. And for you, that's progress towards your core values. That's going to bring you happiness. That's going to bring you fulfillment. And that's all you need. And you see that a lot, right? In small businesses, small local businesses, small cafes, small non-for-profits, small church communities, small non-religious based communities. You see it a lot. So, you know, it's there's no right or wrong answer here. You know, people's progress towards living in alignment with their core values is going to manifest in a whole lot of different ways. For some people, that might be entrepreneurship, might be building a business. For other people, it might be intrapreneurship. It might be being a part of someone else's business that brings them progress and happiness and fulfillment. For other people, it might just be fucking clocking on at 9 and clocking on at 5 and having weekends off and having 4 weeks of annual leave a year where they don't have to think about work because they just want to spend time with their friends and their family. And that's perfectly fucking fine.
Essentially, it's passion, isn't it? These core values, it's really what you're passionate about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a good way to look at it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you're passionate about having a good work-life balance, then
good for you, man.
You.
Yeah. Look, I just want to see as many people happy as I can. And I think that having awareness around what core values are the most important to you, and then making sure that you're living in alignment with them and making sure that you're progressing towards living in alignment with them, is just going to make people happier. And that's the goal. Gary Vee talks about this a lot. He's done a lot of content, you know, where he's like, you know, would you rather be making $2 million a year and be miserable and have no time to spend with your friends and family, or would you rather be making $50,000 a year and have weekends off and 4 weeks of annual leave a year, and not have the pressures of the responsibilities that comes along with making that much money, and just be able to clock in and clock off, and like ultimately what makes you happier? And what makes you happier is going to be what aligns with your core values. And if you don't know what your core values are, you have no fucking idea what that looks like.
Yeah, so true. Everyone's different, man.
That's right.
That's it.
Schwartz Values will. Go check it out.
Yeah, I will be.
Give it a Google. We should put one on the website. We can direct people there.
Yeah, no, it's so interesting, man. I'm very keen to dive into that.
Yeah. That's it.
That's it, man.
We're done.
We are.
Guys, thank you so much for the questions. If you have a question that you'd like us to answer in the next episode of Your Four, best place to send them straight to Brandon on Instagram at Brandon Verdi, BrandonVerde.
Did well.
Spell that right?
That's all you're thinking.
Yeah, just put it up on the whiteboard
Yeah.
so I could just read it out. That's the best place to send you questions. Brandon goes through them. He picks the 4 best for every episode of Your Four, and that's how we make these episodes, guys. And the better the quality of the questions, the better the quality of the answers. And this has been a long fucking episode.
Yes, man. Yeah.
So I think that probably speaks volumes for how good these questions are. Brandon, thank you, man.
Thank you.
Enjoy your time in Europe. I think you're going to have an amazing time and an amazing experience for a whole lot of different reasons. So
yeah, thanks, man.
I'm excited for you, man. Just make sure you post about it.
Yeah, I
'cause
will. Yeah.
So many of my friends at the moment are in Europe, and I'm like
so
watching
it
their
feels
stories.
like everyone's
every day.
there, man. It's gonna be like Australia when I go over there. I'm gonna see
And then I walk outside and it's like wet and raining and fucking cold.
Oh, it's
Like,
miserable,
oh.
man. Yeah. No, I'm
Funny.
getting a SIM card over there, so I'll bank some stuff and post it every now and then.
Yeah, for sure. And you guys make sure you're following Brandon
Follow
as well,
me, yeah.
so you can live the
You live through me.
live the European Kentucky tour life.
If you're not there already.
If you're not there already, when you come back, you can just continue through Brandon. Thank you, man. Enjoy
you.
your time away.
Thanks, man.
Guys, you could have been anywhere in the world right now, but you're here with us. We appreciate that. Until next time, catch you on the flip side. Thank you guys so much for tuning in to this episode. We hope you enjoyed listening. A couple of things to round out. Firstly, if you've yet to subscribe to the Fitness Times Business podcast on your favorite podcasting platform, make sure you do that right now so you don't miss any future episodes. Secondly, if you guys took some value from this episode, the one thing we ask in return is that you share the show. And finally, if you've yet to leave us a 5-star rating, make sure you do that before the next episode.